reaction to these stories and more. This evening's political panel, we're joined by Bloomberg Politics contributor and Democratic analyst Jeannie Shanzano, democracy visiting fellow at Harvard's Kennedy School's Ash Center, and Republican strategist Matt Terrell, managing partner at Firehouse Strategies. It's great to have both of you with us here, and I want to just get back to the issue of health care. Jeannie, the President of the United States today decided to delay the plan, or at least the administration did, those who were working on a plan to extend Obamacare subsidies and, well, I guess, avoid a government shutdown once again in a couple of months. They've decided to put this off without rescheduling. Is health care going to be the new infrastructure week in the second term?
Oh, gosh, I really hope not. But, you know, it may be. And the reality is that the White House seems to have fumbled this politically. You know, you put out that you are going to have this plan, and by all accounts, you don't have enough interaction with, you don't have enough buy-in from Republicans in Congress who have for 15 years been voting to repeal the Obamacare Act. Now, all of a sudden, they are being asked to extend the subsidies. And so that is going to take a lot of political maneuvering. And I don't think the White House understood or prepared for that. And so they said they're going to do it. Now they've delayed it, as you mentioned, indefinitely. And I don't see how they get it done before the end of the year, which is devastating for people who are depending on healthcare through the exchanges.
And that cuts both ways, potentially for Democrats and Republicans. Matt, thank you for being part of our conversation. It's good to have you here at the desk. I spoke with Chuck Fleischman today, the Republican from Tennessee, who said this shutdown actually made the wait for an Obamacare fix even worse. Let's listen to what he said.
Democrats hurt themselves on a tangible issue that was outside the appropriation process. If they'd have continued to negotiate with our speaker, with Republicans, you would have found a lot of Republicans coming to the table to talk about that issue, but in its proper lane, outside the appropriation process, where it's always been.
Do we believe that, Matt? Because the speaker still hasn't even promised a vote up or down on a deal to extend subsidies.
Well, I think many Republicans agree that if this shutdown never happened, you would have had bipartisan work here, potentially extending these subsidies, whether it's temporarily or whatever form it takes shape. Here's what we do know. We know that affordability is top of mind among Americans right now. For Republicans right now, their concerns with extending these subsidies is the cost. That the U.S. cannot afford to do it. Take the CBO that just came out recently and said that extending these subsidies, these enhanced ACA subsidies, over the next 10 years would cost over $300 billion. But the other side of this is affordability to Americans. You know, Americans right now are struggling to afford prescription drugs, struggling to afford health care right now. So look, I think where Republicans are at right now, and where President Trump is at right now, is doing nothing is not a solution. At the end of the day, you have to offer something. That's why I think the White House is pushing forward with coming out with the plan. Now, the White House has done a number of things over this second term here under President Trump to reduce the cost of prescription drugs. You think about favored nation and you know, supply chain. But at the end of the day, it does come down to affordability for Americans, whether it's housing or healthcare. That's what matters, and it's be the driving issue come up in the upcoming elections in 2026. A lot of people are
seeing premiums double or quadruple in this case without a legislative fix. Ask Marjorie Taylor Greene all about it. There are Republicans who are getting nervous about this too.
Republicans are nervous, and look, I think lawmakers on both sides of the political aisle are hearing from their constituents back home. Healthcare costs are out of control. The United States spends more money on healthcare than any other country on the planet. Now, the question is, how are you going to solve this? A lot of Republicans have been concerned since day one in all this that it is not affordable to extend these enhanced ACA subsidies. They'll tell you this was done through COVID. It's a COVID-era subsidy. Shouldn't be enhanced. But the question is going to be, do you do a temporary enhancement? Is it going to be an and, not or approach by the White House? Maybe it'll be temporary extension here of these subsidies. It could be some reforms, such as on, pricing caps, if you or income caps for Americans. Let's see what happens here. But here's what we do know. This is a major issue for voters nationwide, for Americans nationwide.
Yeah, well, and that was the reporting, Jeannie, a 2-year extension with limitations on eligibility. Marjorie Taylor Greene's not waiting around to find out. And I'm just curious your thoughts on her decision here. Is this about her own political career to throw down a marker and maybe run for governor in Georgia? Or will she be the first of other, maybe many Republicans who push back on the administration over this?
I don't think we know yet, but there was some really interesting reporting out of Punchbowl this morning talking about the fact that while some Republicans may not agree with her on some of the particulars, that they do agree that this has been disastrous in terms of owning all of Washington, D.C., and not able to do things for their constituents that they wanted to do, their relationships with the White House. And I think our discussions right now about healthcare are a crucial part of that. They don't feel like they have gotten the respect and the ability to move forward important issues for their constituents, affordability top among them, through leadership or through the White House. And so you can see this, for instance, in Mike Johnson being very frustrated about discharge petitions coming forward. That's not common. It's a sign of weak leadership. So I think she may be the tip of the iceberg. We could see a scenario in which, I don't think it will happen, but in which they are threatened by the loss of the House during this term. So this is an uncomfortable time. And I think she is indicative of a sense that the midterms are not shaping up well now, early as it is, for Republicans, unless they get their heads around things like healthcare and affordability, and they're able to show Americans that under them, they are able to do the work of the American public.
How are you reading into this, Matt? President Trump called Marjorie Taylor Greene a traitor. We've had some brutal posts about her, but then just told NBC News over the weekend it's not going to be easy for her to revive her career in politics, though I'd love to see that. What's behind the resignation? What's next for her?
Well, that's up to her. But here's what I can tell you. It's not.
So it's good riddance for you as a Republican.
Well, here's why I think we Republicans realize that this is the Trump party right now. You know, the truth is he's the standard bearer. And to be honest, you know, she was able to have a very successful career in politics. Part of that, frankly, was the success that President Trump had. You know, she rode President Trump's coattails in many ways. But here's the truth. You know, Marjorie Taylor Greene has to decide what she does with her future. But, you know, when you lose President Trump's endorsement, or if he refuses to endorse you for higher office, that's a problem for you. You know, whether it's in a primary in Georgia, Wisconsin, New York, or California, if you're in a Republican primary, you need the Trump endorsement. It's vital. He is the person at the end of the day that the MAGA movement is in lockstep with. And there's a lot of talk about, you know, rumblings in the MAGA movement. In order to be a leader, you have to have followers. And right now, I don't think Marjorie Taylor Greene has a whole lot of followers in the MAGA movement. President Trump does. He's the standard bearer. He's the person, the leader. He's the founder of the MAGA movement. The Republican base will be in lockstep with him. Let's see what happens with her career.
I'd love to see that, he said, Jeannie, to revive her career in politics. Are you counting out Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Oh, I won't count her out, you know, whether she's in politics or maybe, Joe, she joins social media, has her own little deal going forward. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene will be around, and she does speak for a number of people who are frustrated with Washington. She is a populist at heart.
At least you didn't say she's going to join the Democratic Party, because I think that's a bridge too far. I heard a lot of stuff over the weekend. Jeannie Shanzano, Matt Terrell, thank you so much for a great conversation and for being part of our panel this evening.